Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning to you on YouTube, and welcome to everyone. Happy Sunday. We love Sunday. So nice to see everybody here. Welcome to Home Spiritual Center's Sunday service for January 26th, 2025. And now for our opening prayer. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote in his book, Peace is Every Step. And he writes, every morning when we wake up, we have 24 brand new hours to live. What an absolutely precious gift that is. I would like to thank Spirit for that gift and for the gift of coming together in such a beautiful community, in person and online, where we are encouraged to share friendships, compassion, and support. We have so much to be grateful for. So thank you to God, thank you to the universe, and thank you to Home Spiritual Center, and to all that is good in our lives. So it is. Amen. And now I'd like to welcome Tasha.
Thank you, Lynn. What a beautiful prayer. Good morning, everyone here, and good morning to everyone out there online. I'm so happy to see that the chapel's pretty filled today for my very first message, which I have titled, Manifest Your Destiny. Is this up high enough, by the way? Manifest Your Destiny, which is my message about boundaries and self-empowerment. Self-empowerment means making a conscious decision to take charge of our destiny. It involves making positive choices, taking action to advance yourself, and being confident in the ability to make and execute decisions. Self-empowered people understand their strengths and their weaknesses, and they're motivated to learn and to achieve. Self-empowered people recognize their abilities and take accountability for their actions and utilize their power to change their own circumstance. They are constantly increasing their knowledge and abilities. They set goals and develop a strong community. They set healthy boundaries and always practice self-care. These things are essential for your self-empowerment. Wouldn't you all agree? Right? Empowerment is an opportunity for us all to find and be our best self. Me, you, and everyone else. So how do we get ourselves on that path, you might ask? How can we start utilizing all of these skills regularly so that we too can live in our truth and with self-empowerment? Well, I encourage you all to start with increasing your knowledge on the subject of empowerment. Don't just take my word for it. Go out there, do your own research, read books, take lessons, and do your own research on all of that so that you too yourself can learn how to recognize your abilities and to take accountability for your own actions, as this can play a very crucial role. Going through the ministry program here at the Home Center, I myself struggled with that a little bit, sometimes a lot of it. And it was hard for me to set a healthy boundary, firstly, but secondly, to do that staying positive. But the one thing that I have learned on this journey and through doing all my own research, reading books, taking lessons, and learning some of those lessons is that I must hold myself accountable for my own actions as I do everyone else for theirs. Did you know that it only takes one shift in a boundary pattern to initiate an awareness that boundary maintenance is crucial for self-empowerment? Setting boundaries enables us to maintain healthy relationships with others By respecting our own boundaries, we can then respect others' boundaries, which we're promoting an open and communicative bond that is built on trust and on honesty. Validate your feelings as well and set healthy boundaries with yourself and with others. And in doing so, sit with the idea that everyone is deserving of mercy and compassion. Compassion is a mindfulness practice that we can use in some fashion with most people in almost any situation. So, on your journey, I invite you to define your boundaries, as this is a natural stage in the process of empowerment. Show compassion towards others while you're doing so along your journey to help achieve those goals. You may not be perfect, not at all, and you may make mistakes, but remember to always give yourself grace through this time. And remember, you get to make your own choices and you choose your own destiny. It is also okay to be afraid sometimes. That happens too. There is a quote from Carrie Fisher that says, "Stay afraid, but do it anyways." What's important is the action. You don't have to wait to be confident. Just do it, and the confidence will follow. I love that quote. It's okay for us to be okay with uncomfortable. Stay positive and confident through your journey. And through the transition, always trust in your intuition. Always honor your intuitive insights and instincts, as they are part of your spiritual GPS for navigating through this life. Also, remember to take good care of yourself on this journey. Self care plays a huge role on the journey to self empowerment, not only externally, if that means changing your eating habits, exercising, going to bed earlier, maybe utilizing massage therapy or acupuncture, or maybe it's a vacation, a girl's day, or however that looks for you. But also internally, taking that inside. That means that we have to take our mental health more seriously and do our inner work, or what we like to call it here, our shadow work. I encourage you to not do what I have done in the past and set that on the back burner. Work through it. I do understand that sometimes we may be that someone who is constantly setting their needs aside to accommodate the needs and the demands of others, or what we like to call now a people pleaser, right? Now, although a people pleaser is not a clinical diagnosis, it does describe a personality type characterized by low self worth, assertiveness, self awareness, and a tendency to maybe over apologize, take fault when you're not at blame, or even overvalue the praises of others. But through advancing your knowledge, through your spirituality, and through your healing, through your grieving, through your shadow work, and maybe even through some tears, both good and bad for some of us, you can incorporate all of that just as I did and start living as I am here today in my truth and in my authentic self. And I encourage you all to do this on your journey as well and in your own spiritual way. Sometimes in setting boundaries, we have to be not so nice, right? That is okay. Remember that that is perfectly okay. We can and we should be respectful. We can be kind. We can show empathy and compassion, and that we can set a healthy boundary. For example, if someone crosses or steps over your boundary and that happens over and over and over again, then we are basically playing in that role of a people pleaser. What we need to do is reroute, assert ourselves, and set a new boundary. And it may, in the moment, feel not so nice. But just remember that your feelings are valid and that you are just loving yourself that much to not let others take advantage of you. If we don't set these boundaries on our journey to self empowerment, we are believing that we are less deserving or less worthy of attention. And that is just not true. Not for any of you in this room, and not for any of you out there online. You are all worthy and deserving. If that pattern continues, we may lose sight of our own wants and our own needs, and that is not empowering ourselves. Nelson Mandela says, "The greatest glory in living is not in never falling, but rising every single time that we fall." So get back up. Always give yourself grace and stay present and focused on your goals, on your dreams, and on your destiny. Walk through life knowing that you are empowered. And again, empowerment is an opportunity for you to be your best self. In the opening song that we listened to here in the chapel today, which was titled High Hopes by Panic at the Disco, he says this, and I'm actually going to sing it for you guys. So everybody prepare yourselves. He says, "Mama said, burn your biographies, rewrite your history, light up your wildest dreams." Thank you, thank you. But I am firmly believe in that. I believe in that the same way that Ralph Waldo Emerson believed that the person you are destined to become is the person that you decide to be. So rewrite your story. Let's not stay living in the past and retelling that same storyline. Alchemize or rewire your mind, your body, and your spirit and tell a new story. One that is in a new light. Don't play out the old habits and ways of thinking. Change it for the better, be positive in doing so, and utilize your new outlook on life. Tell the story of your climb and of the confidence that you have built on the way. You have changed your history by presenting the good in the situation. This is what self empowerment is all about. That is self empowerment. Live in your highest and your greatest good and hold compassion in your heart. Set boundaries with yourself and with others around you. And it may be difficult at first, but promise, the more you do it, the more you use it, the more you'll start manifesting good into your life. I used to think that boundaries were not essential on this path or on this journey of empowerment. I used to look at them as something that was scary and something that I wasn't confident or even had the courage to do. I always feared what was on the other side. And was it good or was it bad? Was I nice when I did that? Do people think that I was mean? Do they hate me now? Or one of my favorites, did I actually do that the way that it should have been done? But here's what I know now. Follow your heart and speak your truth with confidence and with compassion in your heart. Let go of the what ifs and the what can be's, and know that the boundaries that you are setting can be defined as the healthy and clear limits that we all set to protect ourselves, our relationships, and our spirituality. The boundaries on our empowerment journey are based on the spiritual teachings that we have learned and the wisdom that we carry with us found in those teachings. We can now maintain a strong and respectful stance in various situations, making sure we align our actions directly with our beliefs. Boundaries will always be an expression of love, care, and respect towards others and ourselves. And self empowerment doesn't have to be a hard or stressful journey. It is a time of learning and a time of self reflection, and you may feel overwhelmed. Keep in mind that there may be others on the journey as well, so be positive and supportive and open minded along the way. You do not have to go through any of this alone. We do have a great community here at the Home Spiritual Center, so come in. Have a great community here at the Home Spiritual Center. So please reach out to any of us ministers, as we are all here to support each one of you on your own personal spiritual journey. It will be a time of hard work and a time of learning, and you may feel overwhelmed. I know for myself, it wasn't always easy going through the work, the shadow work, and everything all by myself. Having a supportive community here was super, super helpful to me, and I'm so grateful for everyone in your support in this community. Remember that you are not alone on this journey of manifesting your destiny. The fight to getting there is not with you and with others, but it's actually with you and yourself, your inner self. I wanted to close my message with a quote that I feel highlights what that looks like. And this is from Ernest Hemingway. There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow man. True nobility is being superior to your former self. Thank you.
Love that quote. Man, that was good. Thank you. You did really good job. Didn't she do good? Yeah. I'm so proud of her. I'm proud of all of them. Yeah. All right. So I'll do the back half of this message. And of course, I'm mirroring what Tasha's topic was around boundaries. And so in light of that, I'm thinking about, how challenging boundaries are for our personal self. And for me, that's harder than putting boundaries on other people. It's like, yeah, no, I didn't want to do that. I want to do this. I have a hankering for that, even though it's not good for me. I'd rather do, that kind of thing. So it can be self-discipline. Personal boundaries are another way of saying self-discipline. But boundaries are different than goals. At first, I was thinking that goals and boundaries were the same, but they're really not at all. Boundaries are typically about the line in the sand we draw in relationships with other people, most typically, and usually for the reason of protection of some sense, time, resources, whatever. But goals are determined by the things we want to achieve. But we need those boundaries, personal boundaries, in order to achieve our goals. If we don't, everything just dissipates and evaporates. I've done that a time or two too. So in order to set personal goals, we have to determine what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. We have to have the both sides of, okay, I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to do this from now on. We have to make those personal choices. We're going to be determining what we're going to say yes to and what we're going to say no to, or I'm going to do this and not that. So those are personal boundaries that we build. And of course, in this planetary alignment, as I said during the opening, that this is a really good time to determine that. What are your goals, to get the clarity around that? And sometimes just setting a goal is the hardest part. What do we really want? Is it a high enough goal? Is it obtainable? We come up against a lot of barriers when we're trying to establish a goal. Write it down. This is what I want. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, is that going to lock me into something? Maybe there's something better. And we get all dissipated over setting goals. But now's a really good time to set a goal. And you can always add the caveat, which is my favorite caveat to add: this or better. This or better. Here's the best I can imagine right now. So this or better, because sometimes spirit has a much better version or a different angle on what we're thinking about. So my goal is XYZ or better. So then it maybe frees you up to actually establish a goal, and you're not feeling trapped into something when you look over the fence and it's greener over there and you think, dang, I should have asked for that. So just do it. And as Jay would always say, put a period behind it. Put a dot on the paper. Done. Right. Period. Finished. All right. So your goal could be, as Tasha was saying, about health, about healthy eating. It could be that then if you determine that's what you're going to do, then you have to set a boundary for yourself. And And what is it that you're going to do and what are you going to not do? That's establishing what we're going to do, not do. But then we have to sometimes face our worthiness. Sometimes it brings up our worthiness. Am I really worthy of the good health? Am I really worthy of feeling good and looking so much better? Us women particularly are worried about that. So, we have to plan, we have to shop, we have to take time to reach that goal. We have to think differently. Am I worthy of all of that? So we might say, because I love myself, I'm going to eat XYZ from here forward. Because I love myself, I'm going to take the time to go shopping for the right things and do the prep work so that I'm not skating through and making excuses for myself. I'm experienced at all of this, so I'm speaking from firsthand experience. And that's drawing your boundary. What boundary am I going to not cross in this goal setting of mine? Another way of using personal boundaries, is to help us navigate life, to not allow ourselves to fall into a pity party. That's another one that's pretty easy in everyday living to fall into. Or are we going to not allow ourselves to stay in the pity party for longer than we predetermine for ourselves? A healthy amount. A certain amount of pity party is okay. But when we get stuck in it and we can't find our way out, then it changes its flavor completely. So we set a boundary for ourselves. Okay, I'm going to allow myself to be in a pity party for the X amount of time. And then game change. Game's over. And so thinking ahead of time and having a predetermined amount of time that when you do fall into the pity party, life kicks you around a little bit. How long are you going to allow yourself to stay in it? What's the line you're going to draw? Where's the boundary of like, this is healthy. This is okay for me to finish processing it. But then beyond that, it gets to be something else. Then it becomes a habit or a way of being. And that we don't want to cross on that. So, if you are talking to your child and they're feeling sorry for themselves, sometimes the way to think about it for ourselves is I'm talking to a child and they're feeling sorry for themselves. How long are we going to tolerate it from them? Then we're going to say, okay, that's enough. Let's pick yourself up by the bootstraps and let's move on. And that might be a good determiner for ourselves. How long are we going to tolerate it out of ourselves? If I was talking to my child, I'd tolerate it this much. I'll give myself an extra day. That's your prerogative. So it's really good to build that response ahead of time in life so that we're prepared of how far we're going to allow ourselves to go. Predetermine that. So when life kicks us on the backside and we kind of get thrown off balance, we've already created a neural net in our mind. We've already established what is going to be healthy for us. Because when life really gives us a good kick, is not usually the time to start building those things into our life. Because we're foggy headed, we're emotional, we're responsive. So we just really want to have that healthy line for ourselves. And then, of course, it depends on the gravity of the situation. If we determine, that I'm going to allow myself to be in a pity party for half a day or a day, but it's a really tough thing that knocked us around, we could give ourselves a little grace. I'm going to give myself an extra day because this was a really tough thing. But at least you're not just wallowing in that place. We don't want to do that. That's spending energy that you could be using for creativity. It could be energy that you're spending that could be used for your goal in the achievements and changing the trajectory of what you're going to do tomorrow. You're spending it on a pity party instead of on what could be. So I have a great story of Thomas Edison. In December of 1914, his laboratory was destroyed by fire. And even though the damage exceeded $2 million, 1914, that's a lot of money. I don't know what it would be today, but the building was only insured for $238,000 because it was made of concrete. They thought it was invincible. They didn't know it'd burn like that. I suppose the interior was not concrete, but nonetheless, much of Edison's life work went up in this spectacular flame. And on that December night, Come on in. And at the height of the fire, Edison's 24-year-old son was running around trying to find his dad. And he looked among the smoke and some of the debris, and he couldn't find him. Finally, he found his dad just watching the scene, just kind of sitting off to the side, watching the scene with his face glowing with the reflection of the flame and his white hair blowing in the wind. I can just see the picture in my mind. I was just watching the fire, maybe like Burning Man or something. Anyway, so Charles, he said, my heart just ached for my dad. He said he was 67 years old. His life work went up in flames. He wasn't a young guy to start over with all of his inventions and his creations. But Charles, Thomas Edison said to Charles, he said, "Where's your mother?" And he says, "Well, I don't know." And he says, "Well, go get her, because it's only once in her life she's going to see a scene like this. This is spectacular." Okay. So then they went and got her, and they shared the moment. The next morning, Edison looked at the ruins, and he said, "There is great value in disaster." He said, "All my mistakes are burned up." I thought, wow. He said, "Thank God we can start anew." That was his attitude. So after 3 weeks post-fire, he invented the first phonograph. Just 3 weeks afterwards. I talk about wiping the slate clean and giving you a whole new template to create with. I mean, he had such a great attitude about it. Oh, all my mistakes are burned up. Let's just start over. So if Thomas Edison had locked himself in his bedroom and allowed himself to fall into deep depression because he lost his life's work, which would be very understandable, right? We would all have deep compassion for that response. But do you think that he would have been able to deliver his first phonograph 3 weeks after the fire? He'd have been in his bedroom spending all of his energy doing whatever you do in that state of loss. So he was not one to fall into self-pity. He was not one to fall into victimization. And he believed that everything was destroyed for a reason. And he took it with a light heart and just saw it for what it was. And even though everything was destroyed, and he could have just said, "I'm finished," and just quit invention completely. A lot of people do when they have something really difficult happen in their life. They just quit. He didn't. He went back to work and had a new level of creativity. So in these days, thinking about us and the energy and the focus that we need to muster for our creative thinking, with what's happening on our planet, what's happening in our society, we need to be able to harness that creativity. We need to be able to use it in a creative way that serves ourselves and serves our families and our community, and not allow ourselves to fall into depression or these dark places. To stay elevated and stay optimistic. If Thomas Edison could do it, we can do it too, right? Yeah. So HeartMath Institute, they've done a study on the correlation between the Earth's magnetic field and the connection to human emotions. Now, I don't know how they did this, but I just know what the story is about it. So we know that the Earth's energy affects us. The Schumann resonance goes sky high, and we're feeling kind of unsure of ourselves, and we need extra rest, and we're blaming everything weird that's happening on the Schumann's resonance because it's a logical thing. We don't know, but that's what we do. But what they've been able to do through the subtleties of the changes in their data, I don't know what they're correlating it with, but they've been able to show that the human emotions affect the energetic magnetic field of the planet. So it's an exchange. We are of the planet, and we're made of the same substance as the planet. The iron in our blood is the same iron that's in the ground. The calcium of the bones is the calcium of our bones. We are the earth. So it makes sense that we are one. So if we are in a really deep negative state, especially in the collective, it's going to affect the earth, as does the earth affect us. So I thought, wow, I would never thought of it in reverse. I've always blamed the earth. I didn't know we had to blame ourselves. But it makes sense. So we can't wait for someone else to make us happy, or that goal is achieved before we can feel joy and have that sense of accomplishment. We can't wait for those things to happen outside of us. It needs to come from within us, and we need to add it to the collective energy. The earth needs us to be a positive force right now because the earth is going through so much. I was listening to Daryl, the guy who channels Bashard. I think a lot of you guys probably listen to him as well. He was being interviewed on Gaia, and he was talking about our free will and the unconditional support that the universe gives us. And unconditional, I think we have a perception of what unconditionalness means. And we usually use it in association with love. But he had a little different spin on it. He says, he reminds us that if we think something's going to be difficult, the universe says, oh, okay, and gives us the difficulty. If we think something's going to be fun or easy, the universe says, oh, okay, and gives us the fun or easy, unconditionally supporting us in whatever it is we believe. Because the universe doesn't have judgment about good and bad. We're the ones that create judgment around good and bad. So the universe just supports us in this unconditional way. So it takes me to the realization of how very important it is to set a boundary for ourselves and set a boundary for our thinking. Am I going to allow myself to go down that rabbit hole? Am I going to allow myself to go into thinking about the could haves or would haves or might haves? Well, if that happens, then that means this. We can't afford, in a sense, to go down those rabbit holes. We need to set a boundary. If I hear this or think that and I start going down there, where's the line I'm going to draw to bring myself back to joy, bring myself back out of that negative rabbit hole that I could so easily fall into? So I've been working all week, this last week, on a shed in my backyard. And the bottom of the door and the door jambs have rotted over time from the rain. And the rodents have found their way in there to protect themselves from my daughter's dogs. They go out and go, rah, 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 and they run underneath through the holes. Yeah, ew is right. So this week has been the spirit said it's not going to rain. So I thought, okay, this is the week. This is the week I'm going to do this. So I've been spending the week tearing it down. I didn't really know what I was doing when I went into it, but I thought, well, I'm pretty handy. I can figure things out. I've always said to myself, I have 2 hands and a brain. Let's use them. So I went into the project saying, okay, let's just do this. So I got the door jamb, got the door off, got the door jamb all out, got it down to the studs. And then I went, uh-oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a little over my head. So I was so grateful that I had the opportunity to call upon some friends and say, I'm over my head. Can you guys come over and help me with the next step of this project? So they did. Lee and Roger, some of you know who Lee and Roger are, they're part of our community. They came over and on the spur, it's like, yeah, we can be there at 3:00 this afternoon. It's like, oh, I'm so grateful. So they came over and told me what I needed to do, what I needed to go buy. The next day they went and helped me shop for the door, got the right size door, and did the part that I wasn't sure how to do of getting it hung the right way. Got me to the place where I can take it on myself. I can do the rest of it on my own. I can do the jams and the knobs and all that stuff. So I'm just so grateful. My heart's just so filled with gratitude. But in relationship to being optimistic and having a positive attitude towards it, through this whole thing, I maintained a really positive attitude about I can do this myself. But then I couldn't. But I didn't fall into failure. I didn't have the need to ask somebody for help as a measure of my failure. I just leaned into the community and said, I'm a little over my head. Can you come and help? So it works. I mean, the boundary I set for myself in my own attitude was I am not going to allow myself to feel failure just because I have to ask for help. I'm going to be positive about the availability of our community and being able to come and help out in that way. So I didn't fail myself at all. I very successfully called upon the people that had the right skills and talents for it. That's my boundary. So I have a strong belief in the power of community, and that each one of us is one piece of the whole. And each one of us has our own talents, our own skills, our own abilities that others don't have. And we all don't have the same skills and talents. So even though I didn't have the skill and the talent in that particular thing at that particular time, I know that there's others in our community that do. They have those talents, they have those skills, they have those abilities, and vice versa. I can go and help them. Lee said to me, she says, I'm going to call upon you to help in the garden. I thought, ooh, I can throw dirt around and I can give back and help them in their garden in exchange for the time that they gave me for my door. And that just makes me feel really good. And then I bought him dinner and she says, darn it, now I lost my slave labor. We had a little fun over that. So, but we can help each other. We can support each other. We can do our part to make this world a better place in our own little corner of the world. And we have no realization sometimes about the huge impact that has into the collective. We feel good about it. People we're helping feels good about it. And it adds to our whole community. So it's a system that works. There's a reason why the Amish do it so well. You can raise a barn, I mean, there's the power of the community. It works. So we don't ever have to think that we fail just because we can't do something. And we don't ever want to lose our heart of the connection that we have to our community. It's so very important. All right, so let's just close our eyes for a moment and let's feel, we're going to do a little short meditation of feeling the connection to the community. So close your eyes, put your feet flat on the floor, take a nice deep breath. And just take that moment of stillness in between the breaths to settle into your body and allow yourself to drop into your heart. Come out of your mind and drop into your heart. And as we feel the expansion and the love and the unconditional support that the universe provides for us, allow yourself to fall also into that positive vibration where you can say, I can, I will, I do, I see, all of those positive affirmations, and put those in association with your goal that you have, with the addition of this or better. And expand your heart into your goals, knowing that this universe will unconditionally support you in every way. And feel as we expand these feelings that people will show up that are of like kind, of a similar vibration, to help you in the places that you might need assistance, to help you in the collective, to help bring peace and harmony and beauty into your world, completing the tasks, completing the goals, giving you ease and comfort. Because we all need each other. We need our humanity. And just let that expand out, knowing that you can give back in the ways that you have the capacity. We can complete this circle of giving and receiving and receiving and giving. And it's just this beautiful circle of life. And allow it to fill your heart with love, fill your aura with love, and complete that circle in the auric field around your body, knowing that that is going to be what you're going to attract and broadcast out into the world. And just receive it with a grateful heart and a glad heart filled with joy. Bring yourself back into the room, back into your body, holding on to every ounce of that joy that you feel in your heart and letting it be your signature for the day. All right. How are you guys doing? Doing all right? Okay. So we're going to do the offering for the home center. If you want to bring your gift and put it between your hands and give it a blessing of your heart. Got mine in my pocket. Okay. And we're going to just bless this gift with our heart, bless it with abundance, the abundance that you already are, the abundance that you already have in your life. And we know that each and every one of us is amazingly abundant in whatever capacity it is that we are able to give. We're just so grateful. Blesses the home center, and it comes back to you 100-fold, blessing you with all of your wants, needs, and desires that are going to serve your highest and your greatest good. And so it is. All right, Tasha's got the basket going around, and Lynn's going to come up and share a little inspiration and a closing prayer for our broadcast, and then we'll do the announcements afterwards.
Thank you, Madge. Boy, weren't those wonderful messages from Madge and from Tasha? It's pretty wonderful that we are able to listen to those. I have a little story that I've been told by my aunt periodically through my life, I think when I've been having hard times, and it always made me laugh. So once upon a time, there was a little boy that was working in a barn. And he was so happy. He was just joyful and happy. And people were milling around. And he was just digging. And he was shoveling out what ponies and horses leave behind. So he was and he was smiling. He was just shoveling and smiling and just having the best time in the whole world. It's just so happy and joyful to be able to shovel all that stuff. And finally, a man came up to him and said, "Why are you so happy? You're shoveling what you're shoveling. How can you be happy?" And he said, "Boy, I know if I just shovel a little bit more, there's going to be a pony in there for me somewhere." So I want a pony too, always. So now for our closing prayer. I believe in miracles, and I hope you do too. I believe in miracles. Spirit, show us the miracles in our lives. Help us to recognize and understand these miracles and to share them with our family and community. Maybe like seeds, one miracle will produce more miracles, and then we will have fields of miracles. Wouldn't that be nice? I would enjoy that. We experience on a daily basis the miracle of life, the miracle of health and healing, of the sun rising and setting, and of love daily. But there are so many more miracles. Some are big, some are small. But let's appreciate them all. Amen. And thank you all for being miracles in my life. So it is. To all of you at Facebook and YouTube, have a blessed week. Go find a miracle. And from our heart to yours, home center out. I had trouble with that. I'm so sorry.